What's going on, guys? It's Colin, and Happy New Year to everyone here at Next Gen Tactics. And at last, I'm bringing you some Vietnam gameplay. And I wanted to start out with Vantage Point and give some attacking strategies for Rush, because the first base on Vantage Point is probably the most difficult one to take in the game, especially if you're not working with a good team. Even if you are working with a good team, this can be brutal. So let's look at 3 key tips. I like to rush immediately out of spawn. I'm always running lightweight on this map. I also like to pop off and arm Alpha as a distraction so my team can go in and get Bravo, and you really have to make your initial push count. One thing that you want to focus on is never ever take Alpha first and leave Bravo alone, because once you've done that, if for any reason your team gets pushed back, even against a reasonably competent defensive team, you're in big trouble. So you really have to make this first push count and call out to your teammates. Don't have them spawn clear back at spawn if you've already made some progress. So right here, you're going to see I'm going to stop in and arm Alpha, and I'm going to take out one defender, and I'm just making sure that the rest of my team heads over to Bravo. I'm going to defend this just long enough to make sure that we take it, but if for any reason I think that we are going to lose Bravo or at risk of getting pushed back or that's going to be disarmed, I will abandon Alpha. I'm quite happy to leave Alpha intact if we can take down Bravo with the initial push, although ideally you want to get both of them, because again, once you get pushed back into spawn, there's only a couple of choke points you have to come through, and a defensive team doesn't have to have their act together all that much in order to hold you back. Right now I try and push up past Bravo and I get picked off. Let's look at this again. This is actually from a different round, and I'm running the M16 this time. And I'm going to take the same approach. I actually stop in an arm Alpha, and I'm going to highlight the mini-map here and show you that I'm paying attention to make sure that the rest of my team is heading to Bravo. And if they're not, then I would immediately leave Alpha and head to Bravo myself. But because I see that we're quite strong, we have a number of our blue teammates are over there, and it's armed, I'm just going to hold down the Alpha objective in the hopes that we take them both down and get this base over with immediately. And once you get past the first set of MCOM stations, it's it's not totally cruise control from there, but it definitely is a moral victory to win over the defensive team, and oftentimes they'll crack, and it's not such a tough game from there on out. And occasionally, when you take down the first set of objectives, the defensive team will actually quit. So I hate it when that happens, but that's the reality of the game, and sometimes not the best sportsmanship is displayed. So now let's look at base 2, and I prefer to favor the left-hand side. It's more open, doesn't provide as much cover, but I find that it's less often guarded by the defenders. And I will use the right flanking route in order to get directly to A, or also to cut off the defensive spawn. And at the end of the day, once you get to the top of this hill, be nice to a medic, because you're going to need help slugging it out for these bases. It can turn into a real firefight. And last night I actually had one of the most intense and fun games of Rush ever on Vantage Point, and unfortunately my MacBook went to sleep in the middle of the game and I didn't get to cap it. So hopefully I'll get some more footage and maybe bring you some complete gameplay where I try and put all of my own strategies into action in one game. But right here you'll see that I favor the left-hand route, and you can actually hop down out of area over those fences that I just passed, and you can stay out of sight for a bit longer, and I didn't show that there because I don't have that recorded currently, and that's something that I discovered after the fact. But the route that I just took is pretty good, and what I want to do is just kind of clear the area and go in and arm Bravo. And I believe they actually get it disarmed the first time I attack it, but we have a medic right there, and the squad provides backup and support, and we're actually able to take this thing down, although not without a fight. And one of the things that I really enjoy about this Vietnam expansion pack is that the matches tend to be shorter and much more intense than the core Battlefield Bad Company 2 game. Right here, I get suckered by a player who had booby-trapped the MCOM station. As soon as I armed it, he popped his TNT. And get picked up by a heads-up medic, and I get a double spray before I get taken down again. So, once you get these things armed, you can see it turns into some really intense firefighting around the objectives. Right here, a great play by my teammate, Leon Trotsky. He's the medic. He was on fire and manages to get to some water in order to, keep the push alive. And we're all able to spawn back in on him. Now you have to be aware of this left-hand side, and I kind of screw up, and I don't see that they're spawning right there. I'm easy pickings for him, and I get picked off. So fortunately, we take this base down, and now I'm going to give you a look at the right-hand route that I will occasionally run. Although, as I said, I would say that 4 to 5 times I'm going to run the left-hand route, and here on You can take this right-hand route, but I find that a lot of defenders like to sit up on the rice paddies, which are, a couple of different tiers above where you have to attack. So it's kind of a risky maneuver heading up on there, although, it can work. And as you can see, Alpha's right in front of me, so I know that my teammate's heading in there, so I'm not going to push Alpha directly. I'm going to try and flank over to the right and set up a cutoff point in front of the defensive spawn. So, once we get them pushed back, we can hold them there and hopefully take down these two objectives without getting into the same sort of knock them down, drag them out battle that we had in the last round that I showed. And, this is a pretty good route to run. The defenders are going to spawn right here and run up this road. I kind of make a careless move here and run across the road, but I checked the area, no one was there, and I'm just going to basically cut them off. And once you do that, and once you can set up basically any kind of a perimeter and cut off the defenders, as long as they don't have a mobile spawn point or anyone lingering around the objectives, it's it's pretty easy pickings from there. So that's the importance of map control, especially on these smaller, really intense maps. You have to establish your control points, and if you don't, then it's going to be a brutal battle. So now let's look at the final base, and a lot of teams prefer to flank far right, and for that reason I like to sneak up the left hand side by the river and up the rocks. And you want to go as long as possible without making noise and shooting any defenders so that they don't know where you are, and then you can basically get in and set up a cutoff in front of the objectives, and it's game over. And what I've done here is actually showed two different perspectives, both my gameplay, but where I take two different approaches. One where I take my route to the left and arm the objective, and the other where I'm actually serving as the cutoff man. And the footage you're going to see right now, I'm going to run the route to get into the cutoff position, and shortly here we're going to fade into the second perspective, which is actually going to head in and take down the Alpha objective. So we'll often run this as a 1-2 punch, and so I just wanted to show both perspectives and, the slight variation in route. But as I said, I almost always run this left-hand side. If it's not working, obviously, we'll push around the right, and you can move a tank up on the right and use that as a spawn point and get a crew of engineers keeping it healthy and slowly push forward. But I've just found this to be sort of the quickest way to get the game over with, and I do enjoy sort of playing to win and, challenging ourselves to see how quickly we can get it done. And with different levels of competition, that's going to be more and more challenging. But in this case, it worked out quite well. And right here, I do shoot at this guy because I think he's shooting at me, but I don't get any hits. He's not shooting at me anymore, so I'm just going to back off and get into the cutoff position here up in front of Alpha. And once you get there, the defenders are going to come through this choke point, and they can go to the left as well. But once you start seeing objectives get armed, they're going to start sprinting up in this direction. And so, I just cut them off, and it's game over from there. Just a few thoughts on the Vietnam expansion pack. I think for the money, it's an incredible value. I really like a lot of the new weapons, although, there isn't a lot of variety, and the maps are going to get stale quickly. I know that we now have Operation Hastings unlocked, which I've played a couple of times, and I'll bring you as well. But I think the next one I'll cover for rush strategies will be Hill 137. And, I'm really, really enjoying this game. It's definitely a breath of fresh air, and I see that there's been some renewed interest in the game over Christmas. You get a lot of new players who obviously just got the game, and so, hopefully once they get up to speed, there's going to be a lot more competitive games and more fun. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you thought. And Hill 137 is tentatively coming next, and until then, cheers. We'll be talking soon. If you like what you saw, I have some more Vietnam content on my channel, so come check it out. Take care.
Hey guys, we're on Facebook. Check the description of this video for the link to our new Facebook application. Subscribe and get our latest video updates posted right on the wall on your own Facebook page.